protection. Drop the clutch, pedal to the floor. Turn that giddy button to a lion's roar. Dream machine, racing queen. I'll take you wherever you wanna go. Let's blow this town, break the speed of sound. Tonight we own the road.
A very good evening to everyone on this Monday night. Welcome. This is SimRace Africa. I'm Ryan Hill in the booth, taking you through commentary tonight. And welcome back for another round of the GT3 Championship. This is Division 1. And we are at Snetterton today. So a motor racing circus, it might just be tonight because I know there's some wet weather forecast, sorry, but yeah, a circuit course in Norfolk, England, of course. Currently hosts the British Touring Car Championship, the British GT Series, I believe some motorbike racing as well. GB3 Championships, also a single-seater. Excuse me, so yeah, a lot of cool stuff happening around, quite a popular circuit in Great Britain itself. I know in the past it's held the Formula 3 Championship a couple of rounds as well. And here on screen you'll see the circuit layout. So it's quite interesting, quite a few long straights, some medium straights as well, some generally flowing corners. I do believe that the elevation is relatively flat as well. It's much like most British tracks. It was originally an RAF airfield and later used by the US Army Air Force, quite interestingly. Yeah, so as a result, some of the tracks built around the airfield, some of the straights, obviously on a lot of the main sort of runways, as it were. Also used by Team Lotus as a test track for a significant period of time as well, so that's quite interesting. A couple of the corner names, as you see on track, they're also obviously named after very famous drivers like Ayrton Senna for the Senna Straight, of course. We've got Charles Villeneuve in there, Jonathan Palmer, of course, as well. I do believe that Snetterton is currently owned by Jonathan Palmer's Motorsport Vision org. And you've got Agostini in there, Lewis Hamilton features, Frank Williams, Sir Frank Williams. You've got the Bentley Straight, Martin Brundle makes a feature, Lord Nelson, of course, and Murray Walker. That's the final corner, turn 12, for the legendary Graham Murray Walker, who passed away a few years ago. Yeah, looking onto the weather forecast for today, as mentioned, there are some showers afoot, and currently is roughly a 0.25% chance to be full wet, maybe a 50% chance to be a little bit of a mixed session, and there's a chance of dry as well. We'll have to see if it materializes. I do know that the drivers in the background are currently about to reach the final 10 minutes of qualifying, and you can see the weather forecast in the top right hand corner. It is dry. The track is optimum grip levels. I don't know how many on the field would have predicted that. Yeah, you can see in the next 10-30 minutes it's just partly cloudy throughout, so drivers will enjoy the remainder of quali in full dry conditions. Having a look at the championship status, so we are in round 4 out of 5, and this is how the chips are falling right now. Dean Norkier pedals a trio Ferraris at the top, actually 118 points for him. He's already taken one skip round, so reminder, we do allow one drop round in the series when it comes to final points at the end of the day. Sinjin Pillay up there tied with Andres Heredia, in fact, 97 points. Sinjin having also already taken one skip round. And rounding out the sort of top 5, we've also got Andres Heredia, Paul Venter, and Jason Farmer in the mix. Paul being the only non-Ferrari driver at the moment in that top 5 Honda NSX. But keep an eye out for some of the guys who haven't taken a skip round yet. Daniel De Villiers, for instance, is pedaling that beast of a Nissan around in record time, as is Muaf Musa in the BMWs. And keep an eye out for the Patterson duo as well. Alan and Kieran, father and son there as well, also really pushing that Aston to its limits. In terms of the limits, here are some lap record times that we've seen at Snetterton within this group of drivers before. Hardest Boyce actually takes the lap record, followed by Mark van Rensburg and Hannes van Veek. I do believe Mark is not making it in tonight. The other drivers, hopefully, we do see featured today. I'm going to quickly roll the hot lap guide, and then we'll take you to the last couple of minutes of quali. That was Mr. Whitehead piddling it around for 144. I'm not sure anyone's going to get to that in this particular set of qualifying, but what I have just seen in the background is this man, Kieran Patterson, just been dethroned to that provisional pole position by Sebastian Bordigo. And with 6 minutes left to play, the track continues to evolve. Also just nice seeing this tribute livery here, if I had to briefly speak on it. Number 64, of course, for those in the local sim racing community in South Africa that may remember Ryan Ottens, and that is a tribute to Ryan and his racing number. Sadly, Ryan passed away recently, so I know a number of drivers have just opted to emblazon their car in memorial of that. And nice to see Kieran here up in P2 at the moment, and looking to improve. I'm going to bounce around the field a little bit just to see who we can find. Sebastian Bordigo currently is in the pits. Daniel de Villiers is out there also with the tribute number 64 livery, and out in the jet black livery as opposed to the customary yellow, white and black livery that the Podium Winners sim racing team usually do. A little bit of trim down there in the middle, actually very tastefully done. And Daniel, nice to see a Nissan up. In fact, just nice to see no Ferraris anywhere in the top 9 right now. That is very surprising. So possibly just not the greatest of tracks for the Ferraris here at Snetterton. But look at that. Daniel de Villiers puts himself up on pole position. Provisional for now. Darren Miller's also up there. He's currently in the pits. Muath Musa and his BMW. Muath currently in 6th position. Looking to improve. We have Sean Schutzer in the Honda NSX as well. Alan Patterson currently sitting in the pits, also with the tribute hashtag 64, number 64, in tribute to Ryan Ottens there. Mike LaRue for Venom Works Racing out on track in P9. Jason Farmer, the first Ferrari that we can see sneaking into the top 10 for now. Just under 4 minutes left. Can there be any improvement? I'm going to hover over Kieran Patterson while also just chat about our sponsors. Just a big ups to them. As always, JooTech Simworks in the bottom left-hand corner of your screen, their logo. You can find all the details in the description of our YouTube video. So they are our main gold sponsor, as we see Kieran just dipping a wheel into the sand there and kicking up some dust. But yes, big thanks to JooTech Simworks for sponsoring the simracing.gp web hosting costs, for the server costs for the race sessions, for essentially the top-notch, top-quality Amazon AWS hosted servers out of Cape Town, Amazon's cloud servers. And also big ups to our silver partners, One Block West Design Motion, I saw Theo, and we also have ALM Solutions from Ashley as well, just providing some practice servers this year and to date for us to enjoy as well. Just talking briefly again about the Ryan Ottens tributes and memorials that are flowing in. So I know a number of other sister league organizations here in South Africa have banded together to start organizing a tribute endurance race for Ryan. And I believe that date has been provisionally scheduled for this Sunday, a 2-hour race. And all the details you can find over at raceface.pro. And I know the guys there have been organizing it to be hosted on SimGrid and such. Muath Musa, meanwhile, has slotted himself up there. Really nice to see all these different manufacturers other than Ferraris up in the top of the field right now. But he's put a challenge of a 145.7 up to the field. Daniel de Villiers is 0.1 seconds adrift of that. He is out and up on his delta as we speak. Ooh, that looked like it was outside of track limits, however. So I have to keep an eye out for that. I'm going to quickly bounce around the field as well, just to say hi to everyone. Breeds McCarty, I'm out there in one of the green Porsches. He's just pulled off the course. Darren Miller and Jason Luck are in the other Porsches. There is also Darren Miller. PWSR guys have done a good job here of just emblazoning all their liveries with tributes. We've got Sean Lariro for Griffin Sim Racing currently in the pits. Jonathan Benz for Ghostworks is out. Dale Price. Andres Rodeo. Paul Fencer for LNR Racing is out there in his Huimilis Honda. Jeffrey LaRue has made it in. Ulrich de Jager and Gerard Pretorius. And we have Gidrius as well out there in his Porsche as well. Daniel de Villiers has just snuck pole position away from Muat Musa. So these guys are swapping. Muat Musa, I was just going to go and have a look at him. He's stuck behind a little bit of traffic here. Just saw some bollards go flying in the background there. That was interesting. The clock has officially hit 0 now, so we'll need to see which drivers can finish their fast laps. Potentially Mothmus is still out there. Oh, looks like a bit of a slide there from Mothmus, so we're going to keep with him. He is basically on his delta, and he only needs to find 0.1 of a second. He does have traffic in front of him, though, in the form of Paul Fenter. I'm not sure if that's... yeah, he's actually pulled off now. I think he's just bailed out of that lap. Kieran Patterson's already chilling in the pits. Sebastian Borgo... oh, I thought he was on track. He's just teleported to pits now. So I think... who else is out still? Fabrizio McCarty in P12. He's already been shown the checkered flag, however. So I think his lap is done. Paul Fenter crosses the line now, and that's actually the last person on track. So Paul managing a P13 for now, no higher. And that is that. So we're going to have a quick minute break, and then we'll be back in time for the formation lap. Right. Alright, we are back. Apologize for the drop in broadcast. I've just dropped the stream bitrate a little bit and then just given it the old reboot. Hopefully that's just improved things for now. I think there's potentially an issue with my internet tonight. Not sure, but hopefully this has brought some stability as we are here about to witness the start of the race. Daniel de Villiers on pole position, Wout Musa in that BMW lined up alongside. We're going to flip to Helicam just so we can get a good idea of the start. And we are green lights and go, go, go. Wout Musa getting the squeeze there by Daniel de Villiers. Oh, and just over braking, Wout Musa is going to try and slip through. And they're still side by side, and it looks like there's a McLaren of Sebastian Bordeaux going off track there, but it looks like he's managed to get back on track as well. Kieran Patterson now also looking to take the inside, and oh, he's going to get sneezed. A little bit of a rub there from Kieran Patterson. And they're going to carry on their merry way. In the background, there's a lot of dust being kicked up as well. Right, so Daniel de Villiers has managed to hang on to his pole position, same as Wout Musa and Kieran Patterson. Sean Schutter is currently in fourth with Sebastian Bordeaux. Some more dust patches in the background kicking up as we are set here for just under 75 minutes of racing. Sean Lariro, all over the back of Paul Fenter there, and I think, again, going a little bit off track, kicking up some dust here. Andre Serodio on the back of Jonathan. Jeffrey Relu behind. And you can see the pack coming through in a pretty much orderly fashion. Ulrich de Jager now, meanwhile, side by side. In fact, I think it was Dale Price as Jeffrey LaRue goes farming. Oh, and has a terrible rejoin and takes out a couple of drivers in the field. That was not a great and safe rejoin at all. And I expect to see some stewards and queries coming through for that one. Sean Lariro, just in the background, you can see behind him Jonathan Bentz are locked in a battle, and a little bit ahead here's Alan Patterson looking to take the fight to fellow teammates Darren Miller ahead. So the lights are on here on some cars. It is a full overcast situation, so it's looking a little dull around the track in places. Sure. So there is still a good chance of some showers in the second half of this race. So you'll have to stay tuned and see what happens and do your little rain dances if that's what you're looking to see here. But for now, certainly all drivers will be on the dry set of tires. And the pit window remains open. And I'm sure a lot of those drivers are going to try and delay their pit stop as late as possible, just to try and see if the weather is going to change its mind and bring out some rain. in which case they would need to most certainly swap for some wet tires, unless it's late enough in the race and light rain enough such that they can get away with running the slicks. That's all sorts of possible scenarios that may play out in the race tonight. Oh, Jonathan Bentz has a big spin in front of us, pretty much all on his own, and a little bit into the wall as well. And he should be able to join safely with no traffic around him. Just moving up the field now, picking up some gaps. So the Patterson Works sim racing crew here. Alan Patterson is tucked in behind Darren Miller. It's Aston versus Porsche. Coming down this main straight to turn 1. Have a quick look up at the top end of the field. In the top 5 we have Sebastian Bordigo, who's tucked in behind Sean Schutter here. This might even be a passing opportunity. He's under a lot of pressure. And Muath Musa out in P2 in his BMW currently has fastest lap on Daniel de Villiers, who's still leading, but there is a half a second gap there, and it's basically nothing in it here. The top 3, even Kieran Patterson in that black and purple number 64 Ryan Otten's tribute livery is behind by a small margin. And here you can see Daniel de Villiers coming through as the leader of the race, and immediately, not even 3 laps in, we got a back marker here. I believe that's the Dale Price, and he will very soon need to yield his McLaren. And just looking over the rear wing of the leaders coming through, this is a good spot to do it, if any, and I can see immediately he pulls up to the side and lifts heavily off the gas just to let that gaggle of cars through down the main straight. So yeah, Dale Price even running off onto the grass there. I think very nervous and not wanting to cause any issues. Of course, that runs the risk of a bad rejoin, especially if you lose traction on the grass. I would have rather said just hold your ground on the track and be predictable and let the faster lapping cars do the work of getting by, rather than placing any additional unknown into the equation. He has cleared his mandatory pit stop. You can see in the tower the little green block versus everyone who's got a little orange block with a white 1 within it, indicating that they have 1 mandatory stop still to go. Drivers will need to pit at some point during this race as Daniel de Villiers kicks off one of those bollards and does a little bit of farming. That's going to allow Musa to close up the gap. In their mandatory pit stops, drivers will simply need to fill up with at least 1 litre of fuel. They do not need to change their tyres. That looked like a bit of a slide that Daniel was managing through that corner. And here we go again onto the long back straight. And North Musa just having a little look, pulling that BMW out to the left-hand inside. And look at this, Patterson is also closed up there, but they are neck and neck here, coming around with, what is that, turn 11, and it's a long left-hander down the run until, Murray Walker corner, and again, looking quite wide there. Oh, and there's some contact. I do feel that was Musa's fault, and Patterson's also just going to barge his way through. And Schutter as well, side by side now with Daniel de Villiers. So that incident, well, I mean, you can always submit a steward's inquiry and let the rest of the team look at all the angles. But for the TV camera and amateur commentator view, I think Muath was responsible for that knock on the back there. but it does seem to have caused himself the most damage, of course, having turned himself around in the process of Kieran Patterson coming through. Sebastian Bordigo. I think Daniel de Villiers, obviously having lost out on his P1 there to that incident. Kieran Patterson farming through. He might be sporting a little bit of front end bodywork damage. May or may not be quite minor. Just obviously having forced his way through, it has the chance of dealing some damage. Sean Schutter, meanwhile, has been promoted up into P2 as a result of that. So we have Aston, Honda, Nissan in the top 3, McLaren, Porsche, Ford, BMW, 7 different manufacturers within that. Really great to see. And the Fords, again, are not doing well at this track here. Andres Rodio, the fastest of the Fords so far, in fact, side by side with Sean Lariero. These two Ferraris going at it, and that was actually a pass as we speak by Sean Lariero. Sorodio's in trouble here because Mr. Price, who is technically a lap down, oh, it looks like he was going sideways there, I think is trying to unlap himself potentially. Dale Price in a McLaren, of course. Sorodio running wide. Down the main pit straight. Daniel de Villiers is 0.2 seconds behind Sean Schutter and looks to be on the charge here. Almost gets an overlap, but has to back out of it and file in behind Sean Schutter. A big overlap there from Daniel de Villiers, but not able to capitalize. And Sebastian Bordigo, as a result, is also in the mix and placing a lot of pressure on Daniel de Villiers. He may even need to flip to defense rather than attack right now just to stay alive and hang on to that P3 position. Andres Heredia, meanwhile, is in a sandwich of cars here. It's a trio of Ferraris. And look at them come through. We've got Sean Lariero heading that pack. Andres Heredia, Jason Farmer. And that's Mike LaRue as well in the Ford Mustang. And Alan Patterson at the back of this pack. Just pushing, running a little bit wide and dipping our wheel into the grass. As is Fabrice McCarty in his Porsche further back, who can see Alan Patterson running a little bit wide yet again. I think that's just the reason for that gap opening a little bit. So minor mistakes here can make a big difference, but I'm sure with the pack fighting ahead, Alan will catch up in no time. There's a battle for P18 here, and Darren Miller is Porsche trying to take on the Lamborghini of Ulrich Diaga. The front end of Darren Miller's Porsche is looking a little second-hand there. Quite scuffed in the side. Oh, and there's some contact as we speak as well. And I think that's sent Ulrich de Jager out farming. Let's see if he can hopefully rejoin safely. He's got a long detour to go, unfortunately. That's going to lose out a lot of time. He's going to wait and rejoin parallel to the track safely. Good job there on that rejoin. Jeffrey Relu putting the move on Richard Berra there, who almost seemed to react to that quite late and just jerked away in an effort to make sure there was no contact. And for now, that's allowed Jeffrey Relu to charge on past and try and make it up to the back of Idris. Group A, as he's reflecting as here. So Kieran Patterson, meanwhile, has checked out in P1 for now, with the 5.5 seconds gap to Daniel de Villiers in P2. Sebastian Bordigo is just under a second behind. Closest battle on track right now is this one. Sean Ariro trying to catch up to Mike LaRue in that Ford Mustang, who's yet again holding back this pack of Ferraris. And looking to be under a little bit of trouble and a little bit of threats. These five guys, Sorodio, looking to go up the inside of Sean Rolero. I think there's a little bit of contact there. We saw the cars bounce a little bit. Jason Farmer is also now licking his chops at this opportunity. And Sean Rolero scampering across the curb there, car bouncing on the suspension. Mike LaRue still seems to not be able to pull away despite this action happening behind him. Lariro is really tucked in now behind Mike LaRue. There might be enough of a draft in the slipstream to be able to make a move. If he manages to stay close enough, potentially into turn 12 for Murray Walker Corner. He's already having a little look up the inside, but he's going to need to slip back in between, and that's going to cause a little bit of an upset behind. It's Rodeo, meanwhile, almost side by side with Farmer. Very, very close, almost dangerous, but here's Walker Corner. So what can he do? Can he get a good exit onto the main straight? Oh, it's almost like he can't. The distance, the power, once that Ford Mustang gets his power down. Rodeo pulling out again on Lariro, but has to back out of it. I'm going to have a quick look here at Jason Luck and North Musa. They're side by side. Musa is holding off Luck for now. In fact, it's the reverse. Luck was ahead of Musa. The tower so claims. The Musa's been able to get past Jason Luck. Have a quick look back down to this battle. For P7 ultimately, all the way down to P10, P11, Alan Patterson. Oh, look again, super close there, and late braking, and Sean O'Leary trying to chuck it around the outside of Mike LaRue. This is a nail-biting battle here. All 5 of these guys are so close to each other. I'm just waiting for an incident that hopefully doesn't happen. Sorodio again going up the inside of Loriro. He goes to the late on the brakes. And oh, there's some contact. And Sean Loriro manages to hold it together. And Farmer as well muscling his way in there and avoids contact for now with Loriro. Patterson is going to be jamming his Aston up into that mix. I really wish I had a bit of a wider camera. Maybe I should flip to helicam. But you're snail biting all of these cars. And look who has joined this mix. It's the Porsche of Fabrice McCarthy. He's looking to join this party. Incredibly close. 6 drivers now. And they're seemingly all being held back by this Mustang, which is struggling through the corners. Really is, in typical American car fashion. It is fast AF down the straights, but through the corners, it's just holding back. This pack of Ferraris and Aston and the Porsches come to play as well now. How's it, Thomas? I am indeed commentating. This is not a generative AI speaking for you. This is live. Andres Sorodio still hanging onto the back of Mike Leroux. Is a little bit of a gap open now to Sean Loriro. I say a little, it's still just about a second. Jason Farmer still in the mix, and let's head to the helicam and just see how these guys are doing. See, they're in the chicane. They close up under braking. Have a quick look down the field here. Jonathan Bentz is finding himself in a Porsche sandwich. As Kidrius and Darren Miller surrounding him. He's looking to take it up the inside, gets a little bit of an overlap, but has to back out of it extremely quickly. Darren Miller, meanwhile, is behind and needs to back out of this. Almost contact there on front and nose to tail. Andres Sorodio, again, this is his best chance yet, side by side with Mike Leroux. He might actually do it now. And will he take Sean Loriro with him? I'm not so sure. Mike Leroux is going to slam that door shut and thread the needle back in front, but this is crucial now that Andres Sorodio has made that pass stick, and now there's going to be some trouble. Sean Loriro, will that be the next victim? Mike Leroux, that is. This train of cars staying with it, so Mike Leroux feeling all sorts of pressure now from these certainly quicker Ferraris. The Aston behind, and he's run wide again. I think maybe the pressure just getting to him as he tries to push, and a little bit of contact side by side with Jason Farmer and Patterson as well. Huge contact now, and they go bouncing back onto the track. Thankfully, somehow keep it going in a straight line. Just kudos to the skill of those drivers just to apply any necessary counter steers. Alan Patterson, I'm just going to flick to the helipan, all running wide. That's the blue of Jason Farmer and Alan Patterson, both rejoining now as Fabrice McCarthy and his green Porsche gets through. Incredible battles here on track. And action-packed, no doubt. Elbows out, no doubt. And this gaggle of 6 cars continues. Andres Sorodio is the only one that's really broken away there. Sean Loriro is still backing up this pack now. Fabrice McCarthy has a little look in that green Porsche. And, running wide. I think that was that Loriro himself? Oh, there's some more contact. Mike Leroux on the back of Alan Patterson. Just a little hello knock on the back. It looks like Mike Leroux is doing the right thing and just sort of yielding there. And not forcing his way past Alan Patterson, just an acknowledgement of fault. And wiggling way on his way. But yeah, as eventually, as I predicted, this Ford Mustang has gone from the front of the pack of six to the back of the pack of six, and was certainly doing his best to hold out as long as he could. But I fear that the Mustang does not have the advantage here through the twisties. Darren Miller, meanwhile, this is battle for P14. He is trying to take the fight back to Jonathan Bentz. A quick look at the top three here. Sebastian Bordigo reporting a 0.3 gap. Is now lengthened to 0.7 behind Daniel De Villiers, but that's, you can see the gap on screen. There's just not much in it. Trying to keep his nose clean. Meanwhile, Kieran Patterson, who's taken the fastest lap of the race, clocking a 147.005. Nearly first into the 146s. We might see it. He's got obviously a lot of clean air in front of him. You can see him there in frame of the picture just as these guys are coming through, but that gap is lengthened to 8.5 seconds. So a considerable healthy gap he is enjoying for the time being. Looking back at Gidrius Group A on the back of Jonathan Bentz now, he's managed to catch up again. Jonathan's been in a Porsche sandwich for a while, I mentioned it earlier. On the back, though, is Paul Fenter in his Honda. Honda NSX is catching the field here. Paul's had a little bit of a quiet race so far. I haven't seen him feature in too many battles yet, but that situation may change as he's climbing onto the back of this Porsche sandwich. Thanks, Antonia, again, just for confirming. I'm glad to hear that the stream is settled. Jason Farmer back in that top, the battle for that, with that sort of top six-ish cars. Racing for Griffin Sim Racing, and you can see the similar livery, just different color of Sean O'Leary ahead. So ultimately teammates here, and certainly do not want to be coming into contact with each other. Oh, that's a good point, Thomas, a good spot there. I see Muath Musa has dropped off the server. He's not even reporting on the grid anymore. And what a shame, because he was up in P3, P4. So yeah, not sure what happened. We might hear from him in Discord later, sort of a post-race report back on what's happened, possibly a technical issue. But for now, that will, unfortunately for him, be a DNF. Possibly load shedding, but I mean, I don't think the country is currently load shedding. I know in Joburg they may have load curtailment all the time, so nothing's impossible. It's power trips in the area, computer issues, network issues, wheel or pedal issues was a hardware issue. Could have been some sort of family emergency, who knows, you know. That's a hard luck to Muath there. So in terms of the Porsche sandwich and how it's developed, Darren Miller in front of Jonathan Bentz has opened up a bit of a gap, a considerable gap, just over 2 seconds, 2.5 seconds. Meanwhile, Gidrius is still hanging onto the back of Jonathan Bentz. And certainly looking quite racy here. Often just pulling out of the slipstream of Jonathan Bentz. Either just having a little look, trying to see if you can sight the corner, or polar opposite, unsight Gidrius, just to try and force an error out of the situation. Paul Fenter as well, we'll go on board with him for a little bit, just looking at the battle ahead of us. Closing up under braking, the accordion effect. putting the power down quite nicely here. Gidry is perhaps trying to break the toe, just goes off to the left-hand side. Will there be a move here under braking? No. There's no real room. It's the track is almost deceptively narrow in places, but there's a little bit of width there. Paul has a little bit of a look, but tucks back inside. And yep, P1 Kieran Patterson is a considerable amount of time ahead. It's roughly 7 seconds, which in fact, it might be even more now. I'll wait for the timing board to update. Yeah, there it says 9.3 seconds down is Daniel de Villiers, and he is fighting Sebastian Bordigo. So these two guys almost neck and neck, half a second roughly between them, depending on the ebb and flow and when the timing gets captured. Currently it's reporting as 0.3 seconds on the live timing that you guys don't see in the back end. I can read out, and he's in the slipstream of Daniel de Villiers. Will he make a move down into turn one? It's be a bit of a bold move, and ooh, running a little bit wide there. Daniel de Villiers just overstepping on that correction through the corner. So Darren Miller's actually, I was going to say, has he got past Mike LaRue here? I'm sure Mike LaRue was in front. He was in front. Timing board is yet to update. So with such a considerable clear air margin behind, I can't just help but think that there may have been a mistake there from Mike LaRue. Alternatively, possibly contact, not sure. In the pits, meanwhile, is Richard Bera. Currently their car up possibly on the jacks for seemingly a long time. And a couple of other drivers, Gerard Pretorius and Andres Rodeo, was a very early pit stop. Remember him being in that 6-odd car battle with the Ferraris. He is first to pits out of that lot and got it cleared pretty quickly. 42 minutes left, and the clouds have actually burnt off here. Remember, we started the race under full overcast conditions, and the 30-minute forecast is just saying sun, sun, sun. So I think Div 1 here is going to get away with a completely dry race throughout quali and race. So they can count their lucky stars, I guess. And no matter what we do with the rain dance, shaking all those sticks and dancing about, we just can't get it to rain here. In Div 1, I'm sure, with no doubt, that Div 2 and Div 3 are going to come back on Discord afterwards and just complain about the buckets and flooding. We'll have to see. Sean Lurie running quite wide there, ahead of Jason Farmer. So Sebastian Vortigo, first of the leaders, is in the pits. That has brought the battle away from Sean Shitton, Jason Luck, Jason Farmer. Now the closest battle on track still to Sean Larrieux. Bouncing over the track again, Sean Larrieux. He really is struggling somewhat with that Ferrari, certainly in comparison to Jason Farmer. Darren Miller peels into the pits. A very stick-in-hand looking Porsche there. Just over the bumps in the pit lane, it almost looks like. Venter, Jonathan Bent's battle for P11 right now. So this gap is ebbing and flowing, remaining pretty constant here. I haven't seen Paul Venter be able to challenge Jonathan Bent in this race yet, just in terms of comparative lap times. But we have seen that Jonathan Bent's making a couple of mistakes tonight. Oh, and as I say that, commentator's curse bites, and Paul Venter spins around on his own accord and is into the wall as a result, and that's certainly going to be a significant amount of damage, I think, as Paul rejoins the track behind Sebastian Vortigo, who has pitted. So that is Paul somewhat firmly at the back of the pack for now. This is a battle for P17, Richard Berra and Ulrich de Jager. They've both done their pit stops. Ferrari versus Lamborghini. I'm sure I called that one out earlier this race as well. So these guys still taking the fight to each other. They bounce back up here to Jason Farmer. Just keep an eye on this battle for P5. Just going to quickly look. Okay, Fabrice McCarthy is just clearing his pit stop. That's what caused the position changes there. As you can hear, the pit stop engineer is just declaring that we're halfway through the race. So on the 50 marker, you would expect to see those, or a lot of people continue to pit. I do think, though, that with the very sunny conditions and dry, a lot of cars or drivers may be considering running quite late into the race and taking quite a late pit stop. A little splash and dash, as we call it, right at the end. Oh, almost hard on the brakes there, Jason Farmer onto the back of Larrieux. Gidrius in the pits now. Richard Berra and Ulrich de Jager still at it. Mark Larrieux also in the pits. Gidrius should be rolling at any second now. He's been stationary for a very long time. Almost seems like post 30 seconds to me, which is indicative of a problem, but there we see the car off the jacks and rolling now. Alan Patterson, P11. He is approaching Kieran Patterson, that is, but Kieran is a lap ahead. Down the main pit straight we see that's Ulrich Diaga in the immediate foreground that you saw with Kidrius, and we have Sean Warrior and Jason Farmer here in the primary spotlight. Richard Beer and Ulrich Diaga, rather, not Kidrius. Kidrius is a little bit further up the field, not by much. Sean Rear running very wide here, and that's allowed Jason Farmer to get up alongside, but he actually has to back out of that for this next corner coming through. So some little mistakes here happening, continuing to happen for Sean Rear, but Jason Farmer is not able to capitalize yet. I think his pace needs to be a little bit quicker, and he needs to be a little bit closer to try and capitalize on those mistakes and enact any sort of pass on the cars ahead. Just looking at the ambient light here at the circuit, it's getting darker all of a sudden again. After we had some blazing sun, now all of a sudden I'm seeing overcast conditions. The weather does indeed seem to be turning again, and it's going to be interesting if we have a short, sharp shower in potentially the final 5 minutes. We can see half an hour to the future, and we're just over that in terms of race distance. So there's a small chance. Oh no, I've just seen Alan Patterson's received a drive-through penalty. And that would be for excessive track cut, I'm afraid. You're allowed to cut the track 3 times before the 4th time, if you've deemed to have gained an advantage, that is. You've used up all your sweeties, and you'll get a drive-through penalty. And that's going to be annoying Alan, I'm sure, as he will tumble down from P11 at least a couple of places for that drive-through penalty. It probably costs about 20-odd seconds at least to serve that penalty. Darren Miller also a little bit further back down the field here, on the back of Richard Beer though, and looking to make it some places. Let's see if Alan Patterson is going to come in immediately for that drive-through penalty. He's rounding the final corner, Murray Walker now, turn 12. And peeling off into the pit lane he does. Slamming on anchors before the timing line. If you speed in the pits, that's a stop-go 30. So you certainly do not want to do that and just add injury to insult. But he'll be sailing through and losing out 1 position to Fabrice, 1 position to Carrot, 1 position to Gidrius. Exiting the pits now, he has Ulrich Diaga and safely in front of Ulrich Diaga. So yeah, losing out, what, 2-3 positions there due to that accumulation of mistakes. So the headlights are on again for cars as Jason, well, sorry, let's on track here. Richard Beer on camera and Darren Miller. Richard Beer running a little bit wide. There's going to be some contact there, a smidgen, a little bit of rubbing as racing. And Darren manages to swing past Richard Beer as a result. We get some blue flags waved under this circumstances as well. A reminder that blue flags at SimRace Africa are advisory, unlike the Formula 1 racing rules. And what that essentially means is that as a driver being lapped, you don't need to jump out of the way. You simply, the only rule you really need to worry about is don't defend the corner, don't defend your position. You're not allowed to do that, but you don't need to jump out of the way or brake, yield excessively in that manner. Best way to do it is simply to pull off the racing line in a predictable fashion, do a micro lift of the accelerator pedal, and that's more than enough usually to just let the faster car sail by. What we recommend is that drivers usually do that on some form of straightaway. There's the least chance of incident and the least chance of losing time for both you and the driver doing the lapping. Yeah, Ollie, you think some late rain? Final 3-4 minutes of this race? I'm not sure. Enjoying some close-up shots here of Kieran Patterson as he rounds the final corner onto the main straight here to begin lap 26 of this race with 28 minutes remaining. Daniel de Villiers is behind Jonathan Benz, flashing the lights a little bit rudely because this is for position. I know Jonathan Benz is on a different strategy here, having yet to complete his pit stop, but he is entitled to race, being on the same lap. So a little bit cheeky there from Daniel de Villiers. But in fairness, if you had to argue the point, Jonathan Benz being on a different strategy, you don't really want to lose too much time from, not arguably, a faster driver here, Daniel de Villiers, currently putting in significantly quicker lap times. Is 146 compared to one Jonathan's 148, it looks like at the time, for the time being. And ultimately you want to get that swap done as quickly as possible to avoid losing time on both drivers, essentially. You don't want it to be a lose-lose situation. Fabrice McCarthy, meanwhile, on the back of Jeffrey Roux, who dips a wheel into the grass, and as a result you see a dust cloud. He has flipped the switch on that, and that was a mistake ultimately, and McCarthy sails by. And that's the LaRue in the background, but that's Black Flag situations. I have to be specific here. Jeffrey LaRue is in the black McLaren, and the Ford Mustang Mike LaRue, who's also doing a little bit of farming in the background there. He's further down the pack in P19. I was going to say second to last. I've just seen Paul Fenter and his Honda retire from this race as well. So Paul's dropped off. Ultimately, the second retirement of tonight's race following North Musa. Darren Miller. Have a look here on the back, on board the dashboard with Ulrich de Jager in front. This looks like a pass about to happen. He has to back out of that one very quickly. Just feathering the throttle here through Mario Walker, Team 12. And who's that farming in front? It's Gerard Pretorius, which is also for position here. So these three drivers, ultimately a battle for P14. They're neck and neck and going, farming off to the side. Gerard Pretorius sliding into the wall and through that fence almost as well. And Ulrich de Jager also doing some farming. And back on track, but back off track, I think. That's going to struggle to make the corner with that amount of speed. Perhaps just outbraked himself. And Darren Miller will basically be saying thanks very much, as would Richard Bera, as he sails past that couple of farming equipment. Pretorius is in the pits for the second time. Whether that be for some damage repair. Oh, Sean Schutter getting it all sorts of wide. That is up in P2, so a big mistake there. Possibly just put off by the blue flag drivers around him. But Sean Schutter, Jason Farmer, and Kieran Patterson all yet to take their mandatory pit stops. As we say, Sean Schutter dives into the pit lane now, slams on anchors. And perhaps those tires are just feeling a little tired now. And we'll see if he does a long stop. 30 seconds minimum is what it's going to take to flip the boots on, put some fresh rubber. Jonathan Bent's P6 yet to take a pit stop. It's definitely looking like a full tire swap. Unfortunately, we don't get the animations that the class does. It seemed to be about 30 seconds on the dot. So yeah, fresh boots, and a little bit of fuel that you can do simultaneously in terms of the filling. On Patterson now. This is for position on the back of Gidrius, Group A, 12 position. It looked like a little bit unsettled there, the Aston Martin, and a little bit of bouncing about on the suspension as Alan gets that tidied up in check. Now running quite wide there, Sebastian Bordigo. Which I'm sure Daniel de Villiers is going to delight in seeing. If anything he can do to close up this gap now. Daniel is actually on a little bit of a charge following this pit stop phase here. With some fresh rubber, he's put in the fastest lap of the race, so 146.17. Just dethroning Kieran Patterson's best, 146.5. Daniel actually is best 146.1. Yeah, so significant difference here. And oh, running a little bit wide, kicking a tire to the dust. Jonathan Bentz is in the pits. Actually, he's just come out of the pits. That'll be cleared. Has he come out of the pits? It's the thing. He's got a mandatory stop next to his name. Has that stop not cleared itself, or was it timing boards? I suspect what might have happened is that he crossed the pit lane, either entry or exit, and that seemed to make the tower think that he was trying to take a pit stop here. I mean, in reality, he wasn't, because he hasn't slipped down enough spots to have convinced me that he's taken a pit stop. Kieran Patterson, meanwhile, continues to lead this race with a considerable gap. It looks like a good 40-odd seconds, 45 to Sebastian Bordigo. Kieran Patterson is ahead. Ulrich Diago and Richard Bira go side by side down the main straight. It's a bit of a drag race down into T1 though. Diago's going to have the nose in front. Comfortable margin. Similar situation here down the main straight for Sebastian Bordeaux. Is tucked into the slipstream of Daniel de Villiers. Does he dare pull out? I don't think so. He's run out of runway. He can't be pulling moves like that. And it's T1 as Daniel de Villiers gets a little squiggly on exit there. Collected though. And Sebastian Bordeaux has just run wide. And all of that pressure has just gone away through that mistake. Bounces back over the curbing and back on circuits, and yeah, that is the battle for P2 gone for now. Just under 20 minutes left though. We'll have to see if he can manage to catch up. Not so sure, my side. Sebastian's lap times are slightly slower than Daniel de Villiers. We know Daniel's got some fresh rubber on here, and he's on a charge, so as far as I'm concerned, that podium position is relatively stuck in place now. Kieran Patterson, Daniel de Villiers, Sebastian Bordeaux. Anything can happen though in the late stages of this race. See, the sun has come out again following the overcast conditions, so whoever's doing the rain dances hasn't helped. Haven't seen a Bentley on track, Ollie. Yeah, actually quickly go to the entrance lists and see if I can spot anyone in any Bentley whatsoever. If I just skim my eye down the entry lists, we have about 120 drivers signed up for simGT3. No one in Div 1 in the Bentley. Div 2, no one. And Div 3, no one. So yeah, no Bentleys. The rarest car is also seems to be, in terms of signups, we have a handful of Audis, not many. No Audis in Div 1. Looks like 2 in Division 2 and 1 in Division 3. So yeah, pretty much the rarest manufacturer on track right now is the Audi. I think the most common is the Ferrari, followed by, there's quite a few Astons, quite a few BMWs, gaggle of Porsches. So the car's relatively spread out in the late stages of this race. Ron Larrier ducks another wheel onto the grass here. Closest battle on track is a couple. They're hovering around 2 seconds each. Alan Patterson on the back of Kidrius Group A. Kidrius is in that green and black Porsche that you see in the foreground. Pulled in quite nicely here now, Alan Patterson. We've been enjoying some pictures of him closing that gap. On the long back straights, picking up a lot of discarded rubber, the marbles on the side of the road now, but just maintaining that optimal racing line. Flicking through the gears quite aggressively. That's Jeffrey LaRue in front, also for position. Gidris tries desperately to hang on to him, and look at the better exit that Alan had there, but he's just got nowhere to go. You can hear him lifting and actually experiencing a little bit of understeer through that corner, but it's through Murray Walker turn 12 they go. Jeffrey LaRue in the black McLaren ahead has run a little bit wide. And down the main straight they go again. Goodrich Group A has got alongside the McLaren here. I'm not sure if he's going to have enough of an overlap through T1. He's going to try his utmost best to go through around the outside, but he's not going to have enough track to do it. And Jeffrey LaRue rightfully running quite defensive up the inside. And that's really tightened things back down to Alan Patterson behind. So yeah, definite battle here again. It's again side by side and backside of it, Group A. Wiggles left and right, just trying to find a line really, but he's gonna not get it done around the outside here. But look how close Alan Patterson is as well, behind these three. Idris again just having a little look. Through the infield section, about to go onto the back straight. This is going to be quite key here for who gets a really good exit onto this back straight, because there's a significant slipstream effect that you can enjoy. Super tight under braking there, and that correction has actually forced Idris to take evading action and brought Alan Patterson up along and inside. We're going to watch and see what transpires here, but nothing for the moment in terms of net result and positions gained. So just seeing that mini mistake of Alan Patterson there a short while ago, running quite wide and doing some farming, which has relieved some pressure onto Gidrius, but that gap has actually closed up incredibly quickly again. I think it just shows how much Jeffrey LaRue is actually holding these guys back here, and he's doing his utmost best to defend the situation. but one can't help but feel that Gidrius Group A and Alan Patterson are technically faster right now on pace. But catching is one thing, passing is another, and we'll have to try and see Gidrius Group A trying to find a way past, and not succeeding yet. Closing up nice and tight at the back there, Patterson as well. Down the long back straight here now, and Gidrius manages to get past LaRue, but he's unsettled the car heavily. Alan Patterson somewhat following the line, but perhaps that move is now banked. Gidrius gets past Jeffrey LaRue then, and Alan Patterson's turn now. See if he can make up. Just 6 minutes left in this race. The rain has stayed away. The track temperature's warmed up considerably. I think we started off at about 21 degrees, roughly. It's 24 now. So lap times may continue to tumble a little bit, but tire wear also becomes a factor. But yeah, as the fuel burns off and the track conditions, they warm up a little bit, bringing those tires into the optimal pressure and temperature range. There we can see in the background there just a mistake from Jeff LaRue, who climbs back on track now, but loses out that position. An unforced error. Ultimately, Alan Patterson are sailing through. Being clear, we'll have to keep an eye on the lap, see if he is technically quicker or not than Gidrius. I think as things stand, Alan's best lap is 146.8, Gidrius 147.6. With just 4 minutes left, we'll have a few laps remaining max. Jason Luck has found himself a battle off the back of Sean Lariro. Sean Schutter has also taken fastest lap, but has now found himself back in the pits, so that's quite interesting. Took that away from Daniel De Villiers in P2. So some really interesting things happening here at the death as it continues to get darker again. The clouds haven't come and go, but no chance of rain. Sean Lariro again dipping a wheel into the sand, the grass. It's been doing that a lot the entire race. Headlights blazing again as the sun tucks behind some clouds. Just following him through that line, Jason Luck. And running quite wide as a result, bounces over the curb there. And again, bouncing over the curb and running quite wide, so that's definitely some detrimental mistakes there from Jason Luck in terms of the gap now opening up again to Sean Lariro. Sean should, yeah, took fastest lap and then immediately went into the pits. Literally his last lap, a 146.15. And Daniel's last was a 146.17 as the best lap prior to that. Daniel's a solid 38 to 40 seconds behind Kieran Patterson, who's just coming around, about to hit the final corner now, and then he'll start his 41st lap. As he crosses the line, it's going to be just over a minute left in this race, so coming up to second to last, an ultimate lap.
Alright man, the leader is on the final lap, give it a final push.
Actually, you're right, it is final lap now, the clock will hit 0 before he gets around, so final lap of the race has been declared. Let's see where some drivers are. Yeah, Jason Luck, closest battle on track, I think. 0.8 seconds. Actually, I've just found a battle. Well, it's not really a battle. I think it's just the timing board indicating that Patterson is off track and doing a significant bout of farming. And, oh, straight into the pits here. Is this an early retirement? For Alan Patterson? Oh, he has to slam on anchors to make sure he doesn't get a stop-go penalty for speeding in the pit lane, but he's had a bit of a race to forget tonight, I think. A little bit of damage sporting on that car as well. He's either coming for a splash dash or for some emergency damage repair. With 10 seconds left of this race, he might even just be throwing in the towel, calling it a day. Ulrich de Jager on the back of Jeffrey Roux is his battle for position P11. And Kieran Patterson, there we go. He is rounding in 10 and 11 now, the long left-hander. Sorry, right-hander. And Murray Walker, final turn, and he will flash the light and be ecstatic at this victory as he crosses the line in P1 position. He puts it into a full spin, a pirouette over the track, avoids the walls, and take a bow at Kieran Patterson with the Ryan Otten's tribute livery. Number 64. Just spinning it round again. Daniel de Villiers is only rounding the second to last corner now. Also for PWSR Racing in the tribute livery, all in black. Number 64. Crosses the line now to take P2. A little flash of the light in appreciation of that from his side of things. He's quite happy with that end result, I think. Sebastian Bordigo will round off the podium for a solid P3 as well. Good race from him. Jason Farmer comes home P4 ahead of Sean Lariro, both. Little flash of the lights there. I think enjoying their time out on track today. Jason Luck in the Porsche will take home P6. Andre Sorodio will be coming around to finish off in P7, rounding the final corner now. Project Vapor. And just behind him, Fabrizio McCarthy. And Jonathan Bent, I think, has already pulled off track. He's been essentially the prior lap, as is the rest of the cars. Then Gidrius, Jeffrey, we might be able to do is see if we can get a full timetable on the board for you. Here we go. Just to see how the final race positions fell. It's a great race there. Congrats again to our podium, and yeah, I'll be signing off very shortly. Thank you very much again, everyone, to joining in. Big final thanks to our sponsors as well, JooTech Simworks, for our gold sponsorship of the race server tonight into the foreseeable future. Do check out their socials. It's all linked in the description of the YouTube video. And a big thank you as well to everyone who tuned in live tonight. Enjoyed your company. Thanks for supporting us. Everyone who tunes in offline, the YouTube VOD as well. Appreciate your support, your likes, your views, your subscribes. It all really helps for channel growth and exposure. And if anyone would like to join the racing, we don't really ever close sign-ups. You're always welcome to join. And head on over to our Discord. The website link is in the YouTube description. But for now, that's me, Ryan Hill, signing off, and I will catch you guys next week, where we'll be back with the Super Touring on Race Room, and we will be at Sepang South Circuit. Do look out for that one. I know the Audi A4s have been really strong, but they've recently received a balance of power or balance of performance tweak to slightly nerf their engine and apply a little bit more engine restriction compared to the other cars on track, including the Honda Accords, the Volvo S40s. So yeah, do look out for that race. And then before you know it, we'll be back with the final round, round 5 at Oulton Park with GT3s the following Monday. But yeah, that's it for me. Thanks very much, everyone. Check you next time. Ciao, ciao.